Illegal miners take over Ofin River, disturbing pollution as activities of Chamfa operators sit directly on the river at Echumanpunia at the borders of the Mankranso town in the Ashanti region.
We arrested about 9 people there. Right now they are in Minahini police custody. So next week, Wednesday, they will do another dissect meeting and make another plans to come back again. We are still working on it until they will put a point to it.
University of Ghana management defends decision to suspend 2 top officials of Commonwealth Hall as they parry away criticism that their decision was arbitrary and without basis.
We are not going to sit down and allow management to pass a biased judgment. We as vandals are out
from the cameras and from all the except that they have. I don't think they have extrapolated a scintilla of evidence against any vandal. So why should they come to this hasty conclusion? No, they lie bad.
We have details as residents of Commonwealth Hall demand an immediate reinstatement of their hall master and the senior tutor, massing up in front of their residential facility amidst heavy police presence.
We're not taken arbitrarily. It is based on the facts that were put before the council. And the council of 20 or so eminent people, you can go to the university website and look at the composition of the university council.
Supreme Court says Parliament did not act transparently in the passage of the Narcotics Control Commission Act. We have details and we'll take you. Hello again, thanks for joining us here on Joy News Prime. Let's begin with illegal mining. Now, what you see behind me is the image of the Ofin River in all its glory, a clear water body that served as a source of drinking water to the people. And thanks to Trip Advisor for giving us this very beautiful picture of the Ofin River. But from Google Live Images, we're seeing something different. So this is the image that Google has given us of the Ofin River. And let's start from here, which is the area around Ofin. So this is the river you're seeing over there. It's turned creamy, not your pleasant creamy, but creamy wasted water resource. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. So this is Ofin, and this image gives us the Imponia area, which is around the border of the town where my colleague Erastus Asare-Donko has been to. And we are learning today from that report from Love News and their checks on the Ofin River that has been polluted heavily, disturbing pollution on the river. There are Chamfan operators on there sitting directly on the river at Echumanpunia and the borders of the Mankranso town, the Ashanti region. Even after the arrest of 9 people by a joint police and immigration team, a visit to portions of the water source reveal active pollution of the Ofin River. Erastus Asare-Donko led a team to the area, and here's his report to you.
This video showing a number of water polluting mining equipment operating on the Ofin centers on a fact-finding mission. We found the location at Abompe, a small village in the Achumampunwa district of Ashanti. Despite a security operation here, a bird's eye view revealed a number of Chamfan operators working with impunity directly in the river at various portions of the highly polluted resource. So this is the Ofin River. And it will shock you to know that this used to be very, very clean. But now, as in this bottle, you could see the color of the river. Residents like Abeliko Kwame, a farmer at Abesia, are directly affected by the pollution of the river. He tells me they've arrested the illegal miners many times, but did not receive the support of local leaders. We asked for reinforcement from local leaders, the assembly member and the unit committee members before the operation, but they didn't mind us. After we drove them out of Abumpi, Intabanu and other villages, we reported to the DCE of Mankranso and police commander, but they did not assist us. Now they are back, working actively at Abesua number 1 and 2 and Abumpe number 1 and 2. At Kojo Krom, some of the miners polluting the river escaped into the offing at the sight of our team. Local leaders like Beposo Ochame Ajenim Boatin denies knowledge of the problem. When I first noticed the illegality, I notified the MP and they came to burn some equipment. But now I never knew they are back on the river polluting it. But DCE for Achumamponua, Isaac Kofimafo, who was scouting the area, says he's on top of his job.
We arrested about 9 people there. Right now they are in Nyinahini police custody. So next week, Wednesday, they will do another dissect meeting and make another plans to come back again. We are still working on it until they will put a point to it. The challenge itself is manageable. We can use our own internal security officers to combat the issue. It's not that big. It's not that big of a level. They will manage it.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, River, Ofin, Achumamponua, Ashanti region.
And that's Erastus Asaredonko's report there. From that jump, he joins us on Zoom with some more on this story. Erastus, great job there. But we're learning of some development on this where the CEO of the Minerals Commission is indicating they're going to use patrol teams to monitor the area 24/7. How does he explain this will be a game changer?
I'm wondering myself how that will be done. If you look at the river Ofin, the course of the river itself has been redirected by the miners. We have pits, we have heaps of sand in there. It's not a normal flowing river now that you can use equipment to or a boat or whatever to sweep on. And so I'm looking at, as he's talking about, I'm looking at how he's going to do that. In fact, the former environmental minister started something like that. The boat he procured is sitting rotting at Amada, one of the villages in the area. It could not work. So I'm looking at how he is going to do that. If you look at the course of the river, which is so deeply directed with heaps of sand in there, let's see how that works, but I have my doubts.
The local people, one of them you spoke to, denied knowledge of this, but how active are they in the fight against illegal mining, especially following calls by civil society groups that, the initial fight or the previous fight that we've had failed because they were not a part of the plan?
I must say that on the ground, we have chiefs, we have opinion leaders, assembly members, all conniving with these illegal miners to perpetrate what they are doing. In fact, at Beposo, I learned that from the chief sources that they build boreholes for them, they construct boreholes for them, they build schools for them, and so they protect them. That is the kind of protection you have that they won't even tell the authorities where these people are. The people who are engaged in this are local people, youth from the area sometimes. Few of them are from outside the jurisdiction. And so it is difficult for you to fight this. And when we flew the drone, in fact, we saw the magnitude of the problem. You could see Champagne, that's the earth-taking equipment, which sits directly in the river all across the riverbed. In fact, 2 kilometers of it, I could count about 200 of them sitting directly on the river, humming over there. So when the soldiers or security agencies come in, They know how to swim. They know the area. They dive into the river. They are gone. And it's something that is difficult to fight anyway.
Erastus, thank you very much. So the question is, how is this happening when government is spending millions of Ghana cedis in this fight against illegal mining? What are the issues? What is really missing? Well, to help us understand this is the General Secretary of the Small Scale Miners Association of Ghana, Godwin Ama. Also, Daryl Bosu is the Deputy National Director of Arocha Ghana. Both of them join us via Zoom. Let me start with you, Godwin. First of all, what is your reaction to this story, followed by my colleague Erastus?
First of all, good evening to you, colleagues at the studio, and also to viewers. I'm not surprised because it's something that we've talked over the years in terms of the methods that we use to enforce these mining laws. These are areas that have been declared as red zones by the ministry, and the Chamfan operators are there operating. If you were 2017 to 2020, we were actively there. The association task force were able to take over 8,000 of these legal dredges. And we also proposed that even manufacturing, transportation, and the use of these dredges should be banned, which is in the mining law as amended. So, as Erastus said, you realize that most of the community people are part of the whole process. They stay in the community, they produce this equipment there, they are manufactured in the communities. And some of the chiefs are going around in some of the communities. Some of the chiefs take some contribution from them weekly. They engage in meetings with them and all that. So, as he said, they are protected by these people. If Operation Hot or any other task force is coming, these same people will call them and inform them that they are coming. They've also been able to penetrate within our security system, whereby some of the police and even some members of Operation Hot are also giving them information when they are coming. So before you realize this task force and Operation Hot gets into the communities, they are already gone. And also the Chamfan equipment is very cheap. You know, it's not that expensive to build. I think if you have about 8,000 cedis, you should get these floaters on the river bodies. And they don't pay any compensation. As I've said, managing it too is also cheap. And it encourages them to do it. But we have district assemblies, we have what we call the district mining committees that have been set to ensure that enforcement is done at the local level. I don't see them being active. We have all the solutions in books, but I tell you, my brother, its implementation, we are way back.
Very well. So Mr. Ama, kindly hold on there for me. You talk about implementation of some of the rules and the solutions. Let's speak to Daryl Bosu, who is with Arocha Ghana, a Deputy National Director. Daryl, so what does this tell you about government's fight against illegal mining? After spending millions of cedis, today we are seeing the nature of the Ofin River. What is missing?
Good evening, Ernest, and thank you very much. I think Godwin has raised some key pertinent issues, and I think that we all need to seriously reflect on it. I'm actually shocked by the enormity of the situation from Erastus' report, and it tells you that government has not been able to take control of the impunity which is surrounding this whole enterprise. And until government does that, and Gordon mentioned some key areas government need to tackle. Look at the chiefs, look at the assemblies, the workers, the security forces themselves who are supposed to be there to enforce and ensure compliance. Government is not doing that. And I think that is a major challenge of this campaign by government to hold Galamsey until government can really enforce the law. Changes and amendments were made to the law, 703, Act 703, but we don't see all of these being implemented. I mean, I read about the reports by the ministry on their website, and there was no mention of any arrest made. So that aspect of deterrence and compliance and ensuring that we enforce the law, all the people who are culpable are brought to book, we are not seeing a clear-cut strategy by government. That's too much like a laissez-faire attitude when it comes to that aspect of the enforcement. And that is why I think that this impunity keeps going on. Somebody at the municipalities, at the various districts should be fired for non-performance of their duty. The chiefs should be brought to book. I mean, nobody is above the law. I remember the small-scale mining dialogue in 2001, where the minister said that no one will be above the law, but I don't see that is happening now.
Right.
This is, I would say, a tip of the iceberg. So there are issues happening in many areas. There are pockets of some of these instances happening. But if you allow 2-3 Shamfans to be on the river, and in a week or so, you get 800 more and all of that. But where was the various agencies when there were only 2 Shamfans on the river bodies?
Right.
Where were they?
So government must simply crack the
question.
whip for you, Daryl. Government must simply crack the whip and arrest people.
And that is what they are not doing.
Sanction authorities who have been put at the helm.
Yeah.
We'll leave it here, Daryl. I'm grateful for your time. We ran out of time on this, but Godwin is still with us on the line. Godwin, I mean, your members are crucial in this. You mentioned a number of things that government should do, some of which have been adapted. But your members, how are they helping the situation?
Yeah, as I said, we have a task force that works closely with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. But for some time now, we are not working because the national security says the gears that they are working is close to the military. So we have to pause and change because some of our members were even arrested for wearing the uniforms. And if you realize, because we work within the communities, it's easier for us to get closer and monitor some of these activities and make sure that we arrest. A lot of arrests were made. So we are still working with the ministry now that they've launched the water wardens with the speed boats that have been given, although they are not adequate. We will also be providing that supportive role by moving on the ground because there are so many areas, the tributaries that you cannot even use these speedboats on. So we'll be working closely with our colleagues who are mining because if the turbidity level is very high, you cannot even operate as a mine because what you are going to put to wash itself is a slurry material. So it's also affecting us.
Sure.
So we are working closely with them so that our task force will work. We wanted to adopt the Brim River. That is what the association wants. We want to focus on one river so that the impact will be very high. Then we'll be able to clear these river bodies. We are working with the ministry, as I said, and then UMAT. So very soon you hear of us working on the Brim, and we're giving ourselves a year to reduce the turbidity levels to the minimum level.
And Godwin, we'll return to you and follow up on this one. I'm grateful that you could join us on Joy News Prime. Away from illegal mining, let me take you to the court now. The Supreme Court has ruled that Parliament did not act transparently in the passage of the Narcotics Control Act, Commission Act. Specific reference is made to the portion of the law, Section 43, that permitted the cultivation of cannabis for medicinal and industrial purposes. The court on July 27 declared this provision unconstitutional. The full decision of the highest court has since been released, and the case filed by private citizen Ernest Manu has urged the Apex Court to set aside this provision, insisting it breach Article 1062 of Ghana's Constitution. In their reaction, the latest ruling to this latest ruling, the Rastafari Council says a simple parliamentary process could be triggered to rectify the concerns of the Supreme Court. Let's get some more explanation to this. Huma Bosco Okanse is the national president of the Rastafarian Council Ghana, and he joins us. Thank you very much, sir. I'm not sure if a simple process, as you put it, could influence or correct such a major decision. The point of the court is that this is such a major change, a major departure from Ghana's position. And so it ought to be done at the initial stages, given enough attention for people like yourself and all others who are concerned to put in memoranda and then Parliament take that decision. The way it was handled is what the Supreme Court is not happy with.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'd like to say good evening to all your cherished viewers. For me, these are exciting times. And why do I say it's exciting? Even the mere fact that the Ghanaian public is now engaging on whether to decriminalize or to legalize cannabis for its beneficial purposes. For me, that alone is a victory. So going forward to the substantive issue, like you said, the court says Parliament did not do what it needs to do it is within the power of Parliament, having considered the passage of this bill, to look at it again and decide, okay, if the Supreme Court says fell short of doing A, B, C, D, they can do it. And that's the position of the council, that yes, a first step has been taken, feedback has been obtained. It shouldn't be beyond the Parliament of Ghana to do what it needs to get the law duly passed and recognized by the Supreme Court.
Are you worried that if Parliament should go back on the process and give this the prominence that it deserves, there will be a lot of opposition to this and the law would never see the light? I mean, that specific provision will never see the light of day?
Okay, I'll tell you something. There's precedence even in Africa. I'm not going to talk about the West, but countries like Uganda are monetizing cannabis. So if Ghana, at this moment when everybody is saying our economy is in dire straits, and His Excellency the President has said that he's looking at Ghana beyond aid, what we need to do is look within our economy, within our resources. What gives us a competitive advantage? What products, what can we do to get ourselves out of this bottomless pit in which we are? So I tell you, this is common sense, no rocket science. And at this point, I like to doff my hat off to people like Abi Ochiridaku, leading this crusade and been consistently citing the beneficial reasons, or the reasons why Ghana as a nation can benefit from the cannabis trade. I clearly remember there was a post Gabi posted, and he asked, are we going to wait till maybe other nations have jumped on the bandwagon and maybe nearly too late for Ghana to get on board? For me, I think this is time for us to have a national conversation. The council has been calling on His Excellency the President to establish a presidential commission so that we move this thing away from emotional reactions, emotional things, a scientific analysis of the pros and cons. Ghana as a nation engaging in the green gold economy for the benefits.
Thank you very much. And I guess you'll be preparing to defend this once it goes back to the House. I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Okanse, for joining us. Let's go now to the University of Ghana. Management says the decision to suspend Hall Master and the senior tutor of the Commonwealth Hall followed due process and is in the best interest of the university. The two officials of the hall have been relieved of their duties following clashes between residents of Mensa Sabah Hall and their hall, Commonwealth, a week ago that led to the destruction of some property and the injury of others. On Tuesday, residents massed up in front of the hall demanding that management rescind that decision. Kwekwa Santi was there and filed this report.
According to the University of Ghana Governing Council, the two officials have refused to cooperate with investigations into clashes between the two halls on campus. However, residents of Commonwealth Hall have kicked against the decision, describing it as arbitrary.
The school management isn't being fair with Commonwealth Hall in the sense that they released a communique that University Council decision on clashes between students of Commonwealth Hall and Mensa Sabah Hall. Yet you've been able to pass judgment. This is not done anywhere. The composition of Commonwealth Hall and Mensa Sabah should be reviewed. Mensa Sabah Hall is already a mixed hall. So what are you telling us? It means you are directly saying that Commonwealth Hall composition is going to be reviewed. In what sense? Going to mix it to a mixed hall? No, they lie bad.
That is why it makes no sense. That's why it is ludicrous. I have not been part of the violence, and so why am I being surcharged? For what reason? What situation? Or what are some of the evidence that point to the fact that violence has been sanctioned by Commonwealth Hall? Now, you sanctioning or relieving the Hall Master and Hall Tutor from, have they sanctioned any violence?
And for sanity to prevail and for peace to come back to this, I think the right thing must be done. They have to recant the decision that they have taken by recalling our Hall Master and our Hall Tutor back to their post.
We are not going to sit down and allow management to pass a biased judgment. We as vandals are out to express our total discretion on what management is saying.
From the cameras and from all the except that they have, I don't think they have been able to point to even extrapolate a scintilla of evidence against any vandal. So why should they come to this hasty conclusion?
Management is, however, defending its decision. According to Pro-Vice Chancellor in charge of Academics and Student Affairs, Professor Gordon Awendare, management followed due process before arriving at the decision.
These decisions were not taken arbitrarily. It is based on the facts that were put before the council. And the council of 20 or so eminent people. You can go to the university website and look at the composition of the university council.
So you talk about the facts, and we acknowledge that we have very prominent people on the university council. What are the facts which led to the suspension of the hall officials?
I think it's clear in the letter from the registrar that they have not exhibited sufficient willingness to cooperate with the investigation and to hold their students accountable.
What exactly does that mean? Is it that you have established that indeed there are residents of the hall that are culpable for this action and the hall tutors are adamant in releasing them?
Well, everybody knows that the students who went to Sabah Hall and engaged in a clash moved back into Commonwealth Hall holding the back of Mensa Sabah. And the hall authorities have no idea that this happened. Does that demonstrate confidence that they are in control of the hall?
Residents of Commonwealth Hall converged right here in front of the hall, chanting that their hall master and their senior tutor, who have all now been suspended by the governing council of the university, should be reinstated before they would go back. A few weeks back, there were clashes between residents of Commonwealth Hall and Mensa Sabah Hall that led to the destruction of some properties, including cars that were burnt over there at Sabah. Also, the statue of Mensa Sabah that is right in front of the hall was also destroyed. Look, the governing council of the university met over the situation and announced a raft of measures, including the suspension of the two top officials of Commonwealth Hall, as well as deciding to surcharge residents of Commonwealth Hall for the damages that were caused. That is what the Commonwealth Hall residents are not happy about. They are wondering why the senior tutor, as well as the hall master of Commonwealth Hall, will be suspended and that of Mensa Sabah Hall will not be suspended. They are also asking questions, why are you surcharging residents of Commonwealth Hall to pay for the damages?
It was answered there with that report. Let's go back to the University of Ghana and speak to the SRC president, Prince Sumadu. He joins us on the phone for more on this developing story. So, as an SRC president, you are a member of the council. What is your reaction to the decision specifically about your activities as an SRC being put on hold, except when you have the express permission of the Dean of Students?
Hello?
Yes, Prince, can you hear me?
Yeah.
The SRC... Yes.
Your voice is too low. Can you amplify it a bit?
Well, if you can hear me, I'm asking about your reaction to the consequence this has on the SRC and your activities. I mean, you are in council. When this decision was made, what was your reaction, especially about the part that affects your activities?
Well, thank you very much. The decision that was made based on the facts presented to council is going to affect the SRC one way or the other because our activities are on hold and the ones that we can go ahead to perform has to be scrutinized and approved by the Office of the Dean of Student Affairs, which personally myself and the team met the Dean of Student Affairs today. But with that, not even going into that tangent, I think the expertise, which is the security apparatus on campus, advise the university management and council to take such decision because at the end of the day, if we have programs being run and peace is not on campus, whatever thing we're going to do would come back to square one or square zero. So one way or the other, it has affected the SRC, but we're still in talks to see whether the ones that we can adjust and make sure that student activities aside academic work can still go on campus.
At your own level, as an SRC, how are you attempting to resolve this issue? It's been long-standing between Mensa Sabah Hall and the vandals. Is there anything that you want to do once you are in office today to ensure that this is nipped in the bud in the long term?
Yeah, there's something that really disturbed a lot on campus, and Kwaku can attest to the fact that we have structures within the SRC, which is the Intelligence and Arbitration Committee. These two committees are working hand in hand with the outfit of Commonwealth Hall and Mensa Sabah Hall and other stakeholders to make sure that whatever that has been the cause to always trigger violence on campus, we revisit that thing and make sure whatever thing we need to do or the measures we need to put in place to prevent subsequent ones happening in the days to come.
Prince, thank you very much. That's Princess Sumadu, the SRC president. Hello again, thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Two other stories now. A pregnant mother and her children have died after fire gutted their home at Ohim in Kumasi Monday night. The mother and her children died when they got trapped in their rooms. The child remains of Philomena Osei and her two boys have since been deposited at the morgue at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Residents say the fire is the third to have happened in that three-bedroom apartment. A team of police, fire and NADMO officials who visited the scene are yet to establish the cause of the fire. Ashanti Regional Fire Commander ACFO Henry Giwa is advising people to make alternative exit points in order to escape such fire incidents. Emmanuel Bright-Quick was at the scene and now reports.
This fire, according to residents, started about 11:30 p.m. yesterday, trapping the mother, Philomena, and her two children, who were boys, in this very room. After several calls to their rescue and even attempting to open this security door which trapped them inside, they couldn't make it. They unfortunately died.
I
was in the room when my daughter alerted me someone was screaming for help, but I suspected robbery, so I even told her to come inside of the room. But she told me it was the pregnant woman's house which was on fire. The fire, according to residents, is a third of attempts by unknown persons, raising suspicion of arson. This has happened before. One time her window net was set ablaze. A teenage daughter of the deceased who slept in a different room managed to escape the fire. A team of police, fire and NADMO officers visited the scene as they begin investigations into the cause of the fire. Ashanti Regional Commander of the Ghana Fire Service, ACFO Henry Giwa, is advising the public to make homes safe for emergency exits.
We are now investigating. Whatever it is, we'll come out with the report and we'll determine what really caused the fire. Most of the time, we always try to fortify our building to ensure that the thieves and the armed robbers will not get access. But like we all know, when there's also fire incidents, fire will sweep everything away. The thief will come, steal some and leave some for you. So in as much as we are trying to make sure we prevent them from entering into our buildings, we should also make alternative arrangements so that when things like this happen, we can have another exit to escape.
The child remains of the mother and her children have since been deposited at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital morgue.
From Oshim, for Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Quick.
The Member of Parliament for Nalerigu Gambaga in the Northeast region, Baba Seidu Isifu, has led a delegation to meet the chiefs and residents of Wundua after they complained about the poor state of community roads. The residents in an earlier Joy News report mentioned the difficulty in traveling on the road due to the deplorable nature of it, as well as the presence of armed robbers on the only road that connects the community to the municipal capital. The MP for the area has visited the community and assured residents he will work on getting the road fixed. Ilyasu Tanko reports.
The Wundua Road is a stretch of the 70-kilometer Langbinsi-Wundua-Pasong Highway connecting Langbinsi to link the East Mamprisi municipality to Karga district to the south. The contract for the construction of the road was awarded in 2015 by the NDC government but was abrogated in 2016 as soon as the MPP took over the reins of government. The contract was said to have been re-awarded in 2017. However, 5 years later, there is still no indication of any construction works on the road. As part of a Joy News project assessing the state of the country's roads, the resident has said the deplorable condition of the road, coupled with the presence of armed robbers, had brought socio-economic activities to a standstill as they were unable to transport their farm produce, trade with other communities, and access emergency services. The chief of the community, Na Abdullahi Chimsi, while expressing his frustration, said all promises made to him since 2017 by the government have turned out to be a complete deceit and threatened to lead a boycott of the next general elections if the road was not fixed. The vice president in 2016 pleaded with us to vote for his party to come to power. He pledged to fix the road in 3 months. But 5 years after we helped him to win power, we are yet to see him around. The regional minister was also here 2 months ago to deceive us that the road was to be fixed soon.
To the weather condition, to the hazards of the rain and everything. You've seen it. Clearly, this road has turned to one village wonder. You have seen it. We went into several pockets of water, which shouldn't have been the case. It is a very worrying situation. And clearly, as a member of parliament, I'm deeply troubled because of the circumstance of this, my people.
An Indian-based humanitarian organization that prides itself in making people happy and strengthening their mental health, The Art of Living, has begun a tour in Ghana to improve the well-being of residents. The Art of Living is meeting the Ghanaian populace as part of its 12-day tour of Africa. Leader of the organization, Guruvdeg Sri Ravi Shankar, on his first public engagement in Ghana, said the need to promote the well-being of people has become critical, particularly in these economic times, difficult times. John News' Karen Obey has more.
Since its inception in 1981, the Art of Living has had a positive change over 500 million people in 156 countries. The organization is active in 23 African countries. The founder, Guruvdeg Sri, has inspired an unstoppable wave of volunteerism and service.
I always dreamt of doing impossible things and made it possible. That's been our passion in Art of Living. You know, artists once said, not many artists can share a stage. We made it possible that 36,602 artists came on one stage, which was 7 football grounds, which was thought to be an impossible thing. I think it is possible when Ghana is a small country of 30 million people. So in India, we live in 1.3 billion population. For us, this is just equivalent to a small city even, I would say.
He said one of the flagship programs taught by the Art of Living is the Happiness Program. Researched by the Yale University and Harvard Medical School, the program empowers one with evidence-based tools and techniques to shift challenging emotions and mind.
I feel that's a very positive thing about Ghana. It's doable. It simply needs education. See, today, how did people learn how to use mobile phone? It's useful and people picked up, right? And everyone know how to brush their teeth. That's dental hygiene, right? If you could teach dental hygiene in a century to millions of people, I would say you can also teach mental hygiene to people in a very short time.
Gurudev is visiting Ghana on the 16th and 17th of August as part of his 12-day tour of Africa. He'll be visiting Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda and Tanzania.